Money is the greatest motivator on our planet, and it holds the energy of motivation on our planet. And so it is by changing the model completely that we can create a new relationship with our resources and actually make the changes that we need to make individually and collectively, planetarily, to be able to continue to thrive on the planet. And my proposal is a shift from this linear financial freedom path to a spiral path that I call the journey to financial liberation.
True wealth is not of the pocket, but of the heart and the mind. Thich Nhat Hanh.
Welcome to the What We Learned project, where we share our most important life lessons so you don't have to go through them yourself, and our struggles to overcome our challenges in a crazy world. We'll be taking you with us on our journey of growth, expansion, sometimes failure, and sometimes success, all with the intention that you learn and grow with us along the way.
And in today's episode, we have our dear friend, Ali Katz, joining us. Ali's businesses total over $10 million in revenue. Ali is trained as a lawyer and has guided thousands of lawyers to financial and business success with her new law practice models. Ali is sharing with us today her vision for financial liberation through a model called the Journey to Financial Liberation, one of the most unique and profound paths we've ever heard anyone share on how to become wealthy, not just with money, but in the mind, body, and spirit.
I'm one of your hosts, Micah Cranman, and I've been an entrepreneur for the last 2.5 decades. In early 2023, I sold my business after nearly 20 years, and I'm interested in what it means to live a conscious, joyful, awakened, and abundant life. And this podcast is my effort, along with Alan here, to share that exploration with the world. You can find me on Instagram at TATONKUH. That's Tatanka. If you'd like to learn more and follow me. And I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Alan Bittaker. Alan is by training a doctor of chiropractic and is currently practicing as a transformational coach with a background in a variety of modalities to support his clients. If what we talk about helps you uncover an area where you'd like to grow, he's available for one-on-one support or through one of his group containers. To learn more, visit him at Dr. Alan Bittaker on Instagram or drallen.co. That's 2 L's, 2 T's. Let's dive in. This is just a quick note to say that we had some technical issues with the audio on our guest, Ali Katz microphone, so you'll hear her audio ducking occasionally. We apologize for any missed words or inconvenience, but most of it is able to be heard with clarity, so enjoy the episode and our apologies. 1, 2, 3.
I didn't do it.
You didn't need to.
Okay, good.
And we're live.
We're live.
That was so cute.
Yeah.
We're adorable.
We got a system now.
I like it.
This is our 5th podcast.
Yay.
Or is it our 6th?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's our 5th.
So, Ali, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
I would really love for you to share some more about the journey to financial liberation. And really, I'm inspired by a lot of the way of thinking about money and our relationship to money. And I'd love for you to share some of those concepts with us and the listeners.
Yeah. So first of all, I'll say that sharing it here with you and those of you that are listening right now, in some ways, this is some of my first time talking about this publicly. I've been developing this really over the past 20 years. And I'm just at this phase where I'm ready to start. So the model is developed, and I'm ready to start talking about it publicly. And I'm beginning now to train advisors, financial advisors, to do this work with their clients. Because ultimately what I'm going to share with you here today is a framework and methodology for looking at our relationship to money, not as a linear path, which is what our current financial model is based on, our financial planning model, right? If you go to a financial planner today, they're going to use their software to help you calculate how much you need in order to retire. That's financial planning.
Right.
And all of our software programs in the world of financial planning and estate planning are based in how much money do you need in order to retire? And that's financial freedom. And you'll have it when you have enough passive income through your investments so that your money is earning money on its money, and then you don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like our current like American dream.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, yeah, so you're saying yes, and like I do just want to check in with you. Like, have you heard that?
Oh yeah, I mean, we did a podcast a couple of days ago where I was talking about that as the kind of underpinnings of how I relate to my own wealth creation process. So it sounds like, you know, I've had the blessing of talking with you a little bit more about this personally. It sounds like this is not only about the dollars and cents of it, but the emotional aspects and how a human being changes so that their relationship to money changes. Is that right? Is that true? And like, what's distinct? Like,
Yeah, it's basically all distinct because our current model has us in a paradigm that causes us to have what I call money dysmorphia. So money dysmorphia is a distorted view that we have around money that causes us to sacrifice our non-renewable resources. And this is because of financial freedom model that our current personal financial planning paradigm has created. Linear path. You work until you've saved enough where your money can earn money on its money, and then you retire. And you pass on after you die to the people that you love, and probably the court process, maybe spent your life, your probably home scenario, or you die in a hospital, cost your family a lot, and you die in like some sort of not good situation, right? This is our reality. And so the journey to financial liberation is a complete paradigm shift away from that, where it's not about retiring. It's not about your money earning money on its money. It's not about you waiting until you die to pass on what you have, or in your cases, waiting until your parents die to receive what they have. Actually, it's about redefining all of that and recognizing that our relationship to money is a conduit. And currently, I would say that money is the greatest motivator on our planet. And it holds the energy of motivation on our planet. And so it is by changing the model completely that we can create a new relationship with our resources and actually make the changes that we need to make individually and collectively, planetarily, to be able to continue to thrive on the planet. And my proposal is a shift from this linear financial freedom path to a spiral path that I call the journey to financial liberation. And we are always on this journey to financial liberation. There's not an end to it. There's nearly turns of the wheel. And we get to revisit each of the parts of this journey, either spiraling up or spiraling down. The cool part is that once we recognize it and awaken to this journey, if we are spiraling down, we could stop in a moment and just start going the other way and spiral up. The key is you're spiraling up when you're in clarity, and you're spiraling down when you're in confusion. And so all you need to do to change the course is wake up. And I've spent my whole life asking this question of like, what does it mean to wake up? What is this awakening? What? Do I need to go be like a monk in a cave to wake up? Oh no, actually I'm a householder. I'm a mother. I'm a businesswoman. I need to wake up into this reality of how do we use the resources that we have here, money, calendars, right? These very practical tools, rituals of like weddings and engagements and right, all of and estate planning. How do we use these very practical tools to create reality? To me, that's what awakening means. It means how do I use this, the physical me, the physical tools of this reality to create a future reality that we actually want to live into. And so you can use this journey to financial liberation to do that by just recognizing, where am I on this path? And then it's being in like acceptance of wherever you are, clarity of where you want to go next, and then mapping a path using a map, 3D tool, to get from where you are now to where you want to go in as straight a line as possible with as much clarity as possible, knowing that it's a journey and the goal is to love the journey, knowing that you're going to get to a destination. And when you get to that destination, you're going to want to go somewhere else because that's what life is. And we don't want to stop that. We just want to actually be in more understanding and awareness of it so that we can make better decisions along the way from more clarity and constantly keep waking up to our choice. And awareness is what gives us choice. And so when we use this journey to financial liberation, we can really change our relationship with all of life.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to ask about the vision of our future reality. If and when people adapt and start using this type of like, how do you see it looking like in the future if we were functioning from this paradigm?
Yeah.
Because it's obvious now that like there's like a binding of energy, right? And there's it seems like it's based in fear and control.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the financial dysmorphia that you talk about, just on a global scale of like this grabby energy or fear, control, manipulation. And so when you talk about it, it feels like there's a free flowing reciprocation and like abundant supply. And so I'm curious, like what would have to happen for people to be in that, and how would it impact the world?
Yeah. So our current paradigm is based on an economy of scarcity. I first learned this when I was in law school. I went to Georgetown Law. I was a John M. Olin Law and Economics Fellow, which means I got to take all these economics classes and write this economics paper. And they taught us that economics is based on zero-sum games, win-lose paradigm. And I remember thinking to myself then, wait, what? Why are we choosing this? This is so dumb. And I didn't know then part of my role here was to change that, but it has become clear over the past 20 years that that's part of my role is to change it. And so when I look at what can the future look like, I really got a glimpse of it in my first journey with ayahuasca. Plant ayahuasca in 2009. And back then I was super traditional. You know, I was appearing on TV as a family, financial, and legal expert. And I had achieved all these heights of success through this traditional model. And I'd built $2 million businesses, and I was, written a best-selling book. I'd done it. I won the game. My kids were in private school. I lived 3 houses from the beach. And yet I was so contracted internally. There was so much conflict in my life with my team, with my family, with my ex-husband, with my kids' nanny. Like just everything was so contracted. And even though I was making, $1 million a year plus, I was still so contracted internally, financially. And it was horrible. It was just horrible. And what I've come to realize is this is the reality that most people are living in, regardless of how much money they have. Regardless. And so I ended up being called to ayahuasca, having this vision of a world that works for everyone. And when I say vision, what I mean is an actual visceral physical experience of it. And in my, hallucinatory state, I suppose, what I saw is people living on land, growing food, raising children, getting along, and living what I now believe to be in this paradigm of abundance, which for a long time was a word I really couldn't stand because I think it's like been co-opted by like the new age movement of like abundance. I don't know, something. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Once I got that glimpse of reality, of a reality that I was not living in, I then came back into my life and I began to see all of the places that I had been conditioned and indoctrinated and programmed to operate in the exact opposite of that paradigm, where I was actually being in ways, generally around money, that weren't about a world that works for everyone. They were about a world that works for me. And they were based in not enoughness. And so ultimately, the way that I needed to find my path was actually to walk away from all of that and move to a farm and file bankruptcy and say, I'm opting out. I don't know how to be good with this current paradigm. And so I'm just going to opt out of it. And I understood that was part of my learning. Actually, when it was happening, I didn't actually really know exactly what was happening. Although what I did know is that it was part of my learning and I needed to do that in order to discover something. But I didn't know what I was discovering at the time because I hadn't discovered it yet. Pretty much right away, I came across the book, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And in Lynn Twist's book, The Soul of Money, she talks about a concept called sufficiency. And sufficiency is the idea that we all actually have enough. So this idea of enough and like, oh gosh, wow, if I actually have enough, how do I be then? How do I be? And I loved it so much. I loved this idea that, oh, we all actually have enough. There's enough here for all of us. And we can share from that place of enough. And then I realized I didn't know what enough was. My left brain logical parts needed a way, a framework to understand enough. Otherwise, it was just my right brain creative parts that were like, yeah, oh, this is why the abundance, like, oh, we're all abundant. But then like inside my left brain parts are like, but you don't have enough. No, we're all abundant. Right. So then there was like this inner conflict, this deep inner conflict inside of me, and they were at war. Around that same time, I met the man that I now call the $100 million man. And he had $100 million. And so I thought for sure, well, he'll be free, right? He has $100 million, but he was the most trapped man that I'd ever met up until that point. Since then, I've actually been in close relationship with some billionaires and seen that it's even worse. But with him, he was the most at the time, $100 million man. All he could talk about is where his money is, how he would get access, what kind of currency. And at the same time, in the back of his mind, which he surfaced to me vulnerably, is that maybe everybody in his life only liked him for the money, which I could really relate to because even though I didn't have $100 million, I had built $2 million businesses and I had the same thought and fear. And so I began to realize, okay, something is completely broken here. This idea of financial freedom is a trap. We all actually have enough now, but we don't even know what enough is. I don't know what enough is. So I need to build a framework, first of all, to understand what is enough. What is enough? And to understand that actually changes over time. Because what was enough for me then actually would not be enough for me now. Just realistically speaking, I've changed a lot. My life has changed a lot. But back then, if I could just get clear on what is this minimum that I need to thrive? How little do I need to actually thrive. And at that time, what I came to when I did the calculation is about $5,000 a month. I had 2 kids. I wasn't paying child support and alimony anymore for my husband. If I fired everybody and I did my own cooking and my own cleaning and I drove my kids to school and I wasn't trying to build a big business and I wasn't trying to do anything other than live on my farm, which I had purchased for another reason prior, and not pay my bills other than the ones that were necessary to keep my electric on. But if I stopped paying my mortgage, I stopped paying any of the debt that I had taken on because I was, going through bankruptcy at that time. And I just get to my minimum to thrive. What is it? Oh, $5,000 a month. Okay. Well, I can generate $5,000 a month at that time, actually, without doing anything, because I've already put in the work that's necessary to generate $5,000 a month. So I'm going to spend the next year just on that $5,000 a month and spend that year in the question of who would I be if I wasn't making any decision through the lens of money. I'm not taking on anything that I wouldn't do for free. And in that process, what I discovered was that there was a framework that was starting to come through me. It would take another 15 years actually to understand the full framework, but that part of what was mine to do is actually to live into this new reality around right relationship with resources, not just money, but resources as a whole: time, energy, attention, and money. I call those our team resources. And that's what we all get into right relationship with, is our team resources. And once I knew that I could generate what I needed when I needed it on demand in alignment with my values at that minimum to thrive level, for me at that time, $5,000 a month. And I think that is the critical determination that all of us need to make as baseline. How much do I need? Minimum to thrive, not minimum to be happy. Although I used to call it minimum to be happy, not minimum. So this is not just getting by. Your minimum to thrive is you're eating the kind of food you need to be eating. You're around the people you need to be around. But there's no wants, right? So my minimum to thrive does not include me paying for massages. I could still get massages by trading with somebody, but it's not going to be something I'm paying for. That's a want, not a need. My minimum to thrive didn't include somebody doing my laundry. It didn't include somebody cleaning my room. It didn't include somebody cooking for me or driving my kids around or going to get my gas or doing any of my errands. And my minimum to thrive didn't include me going shopping for new clothes. It was minimum to thrive. But it did include eating organic food, as an example, right? Because that's what I needed to thrive. Once I knew that and I could earn that in alignment with my values, critically important as well, then I get to go to the next stage of this journey to financial liberation, which is learning to steward what I have and to take care of it. Because on my first rise to my financial freedom of a couple $1 million businesses, I didn't learn how to take care of what I had. Stewarding what we have means having the right containers around what we have: legal, insurance, financial, and tax support that is at the right level for what we have. It means investing what we have wisely. It means knowing where to invest what we have. So in my first rise, when I was making all this money, I had never had a lot of money before. So I wanted to invest it in everything that came my way. It was 2006, 2007. Okay, yeah, I'm going to invest in a fix and flip because that's what we're doing, right? That's what was happening back then. Oh, you mean I can get finance to do this thing and everybody's doing it and I'm going to do that. Today it might look like crypto, right? There's always going to be the next thing that you can invest your money in to make money faster on your money. And I see a lot of people get ripped off from that place. I mean, when I look at how much money I put into things that ultimately were just big lessons of oh, that was really dumb. because I didn't know how to steward. I didn't know how to discern. I didn't even know what I should be investing in. You know, I recall my family talking about investments. Maybe they were talking about like buying stocks, like Delta Airlines stock or something like that. And then, you know, meanwhile, my dad was more of a like, if you have it, spend it. And my mom was like, no, we have to save it. And, you know, I didn't have a healthy relationship, you know, with taking care of what I had or investing it wisely. So that's the next thing. Once you're generating what you need, when you need it on demand in alignment with your values, that's phase one for everybody. Phase one, knowing that you can generate. Because here's what I see with these people that have 10 million, 100 million, $1 billion. If they're not connected with their ability to generate more on demand in alignment with their values, all of a sudden they become hoarders. Oh, I gotta hoard what I gotta hoard it. It's never coming back again. And I see there's like several people actually that I know in our community who have made tremendous amounts of money, but they can't share it because they have to hoard it because they don't believe they can make more.
This is so interesting because I'll just reflect from my own experience. Like, you know, a little over a year ago, I sold my business and I was used to a certain amount of income. And I had this big chunk of cash and my butthole got so tight. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of money. Meanwhile, it's the first time in my life I've ever had multiple 6 digits in my bank account. And my whole body, my whole nervous system was freaking out. And I was like, wow, this is a bizarre experience. I'm in the most resourced state I've ever been in. And I feel the least resourced that I have in a long, long time. And since then, I've been in this dance with myself of like coming back to remembering my own capacity to generate wealth and income in alignment with my values. And I think part of that is because I've been in a business for so long that wasn't in alignment with my values. And so I had to sort of shift and reprove to myself through some investment decisions that I made that like, oh yeah, I got this. Yeah. I can do it. And it's also been this practice of like, how do I continue to tap in and expand into a sort of generous way of being that feels good now that I'm resourced? Like, that's what this is all for.
Yes. Well, and many people, though, what happens because they haven't learned how to steward it, or perhaps they haven't learned how to generate in alignment with their values. Maybe they have learned how to generate, but not in alignment with their values, are then going to come around, and everybody's going to come around, might be actually, in fact, be the stage that you're in, is the third stage is transformation. Mm. And in this transformational dilemma, which is really the inherent to this next stage, you will need to face all of the places that you actually, one of my other teachers calls it, go back and pick up pesos that you missed along the way. She talks about it in the context of spiral dynamics and levels of consciousness and spiral dynamics, but it's really the same here in this spiral path, because as you come around the turn into your next turn of the wheel, you're going to come back to the generate stage. And when you come back to the generate stage, you're going to pass through liberation. Life wants you to liberate. It is like the evolutionary imperative. Mm. We are the evolution, right? This is where inheritance really comes in. When I look at this question of like, what are we doing here? Like, did we come here to earn money and pay bills and die? That can't be.
Definitely.
So interesting, right?
Definitely. That's what we're here for.
Right. And yet that is the reality that many people are living.
Totally.
Right? Let me just figure out how to like pay my bills so I can retire and then die.
Yeah.
That wasn't it for me. I was like, that can't be it. There's got to be something more. Okay. So what is it? Well, I believe what I've come to is that before we were born, we chose the parents to be born through so that we could evolve our souls and create this new future reality through our bodies, through our hands and our minds and our hearts and our souls and our mouths, all of it. And that in order to do that, we have to understand what we've inherited, right? We've all inherited on the micro level so much right here in our bodies and in our financial realities. And then of course, at the macro level, this planet and all of the challenges and opportunities we have. So I have to understand what I've inherited from my ancestors and then heal it right here through my being so that I can create this new future reality. This is evolution. This is why we're here. This is what I believe, like why we're actually here and that we chose it before we came. And so and that life actually wants us to liberate because we are living expressions of life itself. You can call it God, universe, spirit, whatever. Like that is living through us. And so in this push to liberate, if we have resistance to it and we shut down and we clamp down and we try to hold on to what we've created, then life is going to force us to liberate, often by taking everything from us, sometimes in really unfortunate and painful ways. Or we can choose. We can choose and we can like surrender. And this is like where the difference between resistance and surrender comes in. And what they say about like if what you resist persists. Yeah, because life is going to actually force you to have to go into exactly that thing that you're resisting because it's the next stage on your journey to liberation. And money is just the perfect conduit to bring us into it. And so if we could just actually surrender and loosen our buttholes.
Yep.
This is the opportunity.
Take it. Just take it.
Just take it.
Yeah.
This is actually, and really give it. Give it. Then this is the opportunity to choose to come around through this liberation into our next turn of the wheel and into this next stage where we're going to be able to generate and have an increased capacity to hold more and generate more and take care of more people and more things. And that is going to require us to hold more. And therefore, then we're going to have to learn how to generate more in alignment with our values and steward more, which is a whole nother level. You know, you heard people say more money, more problems, but it's not more problems. It's just more opportunities. It's holding more. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now I have to be able to steward this. And then guess what? Once again, we're going to come around the turn of the wheel again and be given another opportunity. And life is going to say, was that too much? Should I take it from you? Or do you want more? Do you want even more? And then we get to come around the wheel again and be in a stage, a moment of liberation where life is either taking it all from us or increased our capacity, stretching us, right? Like I've had 2 children. So, you know, when I'm about to have a baby, I'm like getting stretched to the point where it's like the literal, no, like this cannot happen. It's not going to be able to happen. I'm literally going to die in this moment. And that's when the baby is born. Right. And so that's how it is too. Yeah. They call it the ring of fire. You can kind of imagine.
Yeah.
Is this liberation stage, is that where you would describe generosity?
Well, no, you can be in the liberation stage and not be generous. I would say the generosity, which we just found out from a friend, is like what's at the core of generosity is eros, right? How cool is that to discover? Yeah, eros. If you look at the word generosity, you'll see it right there. I think that where generosity comes in is in this transformation phase, this transformational dilemma of are you going to get generous or are you going to contract around what you have? And if you contract around what you have, the way life will liberate you is to take it. Take it all. It's going to take it all. It's like in the same way, like maybe you can think of like, you just finally got $10,000 in your bank account and then your car breaks down.
Yeah,
totally.
I have a couple of things that I would just love to, a couple of curiosities. I want to acknowledge that we've got about 8 minutes remaining for you to be on time for your next engagement. But I think what would be really incredible is to understand just very briefly the 4 stages.
Yes.
So if you could distinguish them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm noticing about this map is that it is about money, but it's not about money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about liberation.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, a spiral path is one in which you're sort of circling the path and progressing forward, but revisiting each stage again and again and again in a deeper and more complete way. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you're either spiraling up or down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're spiraling up when we're in clarity, meaning we know where we are on the path. And we're spiraling down when we're in confusion and we're just completely lost and we don't know where we are on the path. So ultimately, what I will be doing with this model is training advisors, because the best way to walk this path is with someone holding your hand, helping you see, right? Because otherwise you're kind of in the dark, you're lost in your mind, you can't see clearly because you're too close to it. And in most cases, we need a guide that's been there to hold our hand and help us to see. I
mean, even just, I think probably Alan and I don't want to speak for you, but I think both of us, in this moment, I'm having the experience of like, oh, wow, it's so nice to be able to see where I'm at, where the growth is, and where the possibility is. Yeah. I also just want to comment on something that you said, which really struck me, which is that if you can't relax and learn how to give, life will take it away from you. Yeah. And even for people that actually still have the resource, if you don't feel that you have the resource, it's still been taken away.
That's right.
You may not as well have it.
Right.
Totally.
It's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're making it all up. So like, let's just remember that we are such powerful creators, and we have collectively come together to play a game. Money is the score in a way. And it's really, like you said, it's not about money. It's about liberation. And part of the liberation is recognizing that money is zeros and ones and nothing more than that. It is zeros and ones and nothing more than that. And it is infinite when you know how to access it and use it wisely. Now, many people, when they hear that, get contracted immediately. What do you mean it's infinite? I don't have any of it. Well, okay, then let's just get on the path and recognize that your next step is to learn how to generate what you need when you need it on demand in alignment with your values. And you might stay there for 20 years, just learning how to do that. And you know what? If that's the case, that's totally fine. You can have a great life and a great time learning how to generate what you need when you need it on demand in alignment with your values. You can have an amazing life. But here's probably what's going to happen if you're really earnest for that. You're not going to stay there. You're going to learn it pretty actually quickly. And then you're going to move into the phase of steward what you have. Yep. And you're only going to need to learn to steward a little bit, because you didn't probably learn how to generate a huge amount in alignment with your values. Now, if you immediately, actually this kind of happened for me. Generating has generally been the thing that has come the easiest for me. I didn't grow up with money. I started working at 14 years old but I went to law school. And when I got out of law school, I was earning 6-figure paycheck. But it was weird because I literally felt so much more broke than when I was waitressing because I couldn't impact the size of my paycheck. Plus, retirement account, insurance, everything that was being pulled out of the paycheck, I ended up with like nothing. It felt like nothing. How could I be making 6 figures and be broke all the time? It's so confusing.
Yeah.
Right. So the generate part, and then when I left the security of that 6-figure paycheck and started my own law practice, and my husband was a stay-at-home dad. We had 2 little kids at home. It was all dependent on me. But pretty quickly, I learned how to generate. I created, systems and learned how to generate and built my practice into $1 million business in 3 years because I was very focused on learning how to generate. Okay, I need to create a service, a high value service that I can offer. I need to learn how to sell that service. I need to learn how to get people to want to buy that service. Okay, great. That all seemed pretty clear. I paid a lot of people a lot of money to teach me that. And sometimes I got ripped off paying those people, but ultimately I figured it out. And the hard part for me was then learning how to steward it because I didn't understand what even applied to me, right? Like I had been doing tax transactions for Warren Buffett at the law firm that I worked for. And I couldn't make the leap to believe that any of that actually applied to me, a little, business owner with this like small law practice. Like that can't apply to me, can it? And it's like, I didn't think I needed agreements, like legal agreements. Oh, that's just for other people. Not like I'm doing business with people I trust. I don't need legal agreements. Well, as a result of that, I got sued.
Yeah.
I got taken advantage of. People came into my life who I was afraid to ask for legal agreements because then maybe they wouldn't want to work with me. And then actually what it turned out is I shouldn't have wanted to work with them.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had to learn these lessons the hard way. So steward is this next phase. And the thing is that once you've generated or learned to generate at whatever stage you're at, and once you've learned to steward at whatever stage you're at, you are always going to then come into this next level opportunity to transform. And I used to call this transform stage detachment, because it really requires you to let go of whatever you've gotten attached to. And that either happens through force, life forcing you, or through choice. And life forces you if you clamp down and you contract and you resist. And if you surrender and open and get generous and make investments and give what you have wisely based on what you've learned at Steward and Generate, then you begin to increase your capacity. And when you come around the wheel again, now you're going to up level from your minimum to be to minimum to thrive into a minimum to be of service reality. So minimum to be of service means I'm actually employing other people because I can't be of service alone. My minimum to thrive is just taking care of me. But my minimum to be of service is where I start to take care of other people. It's where I start to hire people. It's where I start to get to work together with people. It's where I start to get to work together with people. And now, at my minimum to be of service, I need to generate enough to not just take care of me, but take care of everybody around me. And I can't pay myself what I want until everybody around me has what they need. And now I'm not just thinking about me, I'm thinking about we. And I'm looking at, okay, how much do I need to generate for all of us? And how do we all work together to generate that? And then how do I steward at this next level of minimum to be of service? And then once again, I'm going to come around, have to go through the transformational dilemma again. Am I going to clamp down and contract and need to go back to minimum to thrive because I didn't do something well, probably stewardship related? Or am I going to be able to expand into this next layer of capacity, opening, giving more, probably like way beyond what I ever thought I could. And then when I come back around the wheel again, now I'm at preferred. Now I'm moving beyond my own needs into wants. Oh, now I can start having weekly massages because I have my needs met and everybody else in my ecosystem has their needs met. Now I can actually start to give myself what I want. Now I can start to go shopping for new clothes, and I can have things that are not necessary, but that actually really juice me up. And really, now I'm really starting to operate from my desire. Now I have to learn how to generate, first of all, generate at this next layer of what I want, which is, wow, far more. Because now it's I'm meeting everybody's needs and also my wants. And I have to learn how to take care of that. And then I'm going to come up to the transformational moment again. And what's going to happen? Well, I don't actually know because I'm in it.
You're going to find out.
So you're in the fuck around and find out moment.
Fuck around and find out of what happens next. What I do know is that on my map, this money map, this framework that I created to help yourself know what stage you're at, and it goes minimum to thrive, minimum to give service, preferred if you can afford it. That's the transition from need to want. And there's this level called no limits. I haven't lived into that yet. I've kind of like been like, I don't even want to think about that. It's beyond me. Maybe it doesn't even belong on the map, but I know that it does. And I think it's where I'm at. I'm actually in this phase between afford it and no limits, my wants and some other thing that is this no limits thing. And so I'm in my own moment of my own transformational dilemma, my own transformational opportunity. And I think that I'm making choices that will help me to expand my capacity into this next level of no limits. But I don't know.
Yeah. It's, as you say that, what's coming up for me, and maybe it's just my own hallucination or imagination, but is this sense of like extraordinary power. And through those first cycles, kind of like coming to a place of self-trust.
It is all based in self-trust.
To be able to then exercise extraordinary power, which comes with that stage of no limits, right? And how do you want to bring that into the world now that you've developed this deep, deep sense of trust that like, I'm going to do this with the utmost integrity and love.
With the utmost integrity and love. And this is where I see a lot of people who start making a lot of money fall down, is because they can sense the reality that money is infinite as long as you know how to access it, but they don't know how to do it with integrity and love. And so there's actually someone right now in our industry and in our community, and I'm in this big question about what is my role meant to be, because this person is not doing it with an integrity and love. But I also imagine that they're in a really bad place internally. And they've basically accessed a huge amount of money through a lot of people and now are not able to pay it back, and they're not handling it well. And this person is young and has a lot of power. And I am in this question of like, okay, what is mine to do here? How do I actually help this situation so the most number of people learn the best possible lessons and the outcome is the greatest it possibly can be? I don't know. What I do know is it's just reflecting back to me how critically important the integrity piece is, the alignment piece is, that if we are like, as you come around this stage out of stewardship and into the transform stage, life will bring up everything that is not in alignment. And what we choose to do with that is a big part of the determiner of whether we are forced into a contracted state where we just generate less and steward less, or do we expand into that next level of capacity to hold more and to steward more. How much alignment is there? And so I think that's part of the moment that I'm in right now as well, is confirming my own self-trust and my trust with life itself to say, okay, life, I got this. And that, by the way, is what allowed me to raise capital, outside capital, for the first time. This is Q2, or we just entered Q2. In Q4 of last year, and by the way, there was a time when I didn't even understand quarters. So I've come a long way. Like, what is this Q thing that people are talking about? So for those of you that might be there now, the year is broken up into quarters and we can plan on quarterly cycles. And so in the last 3 months of 2023, I opened up a capital raise for the first time. I've only ever used my own credit, my own resources. I've bootstrapped everything. This year, my companies will do about 10 million in revenue. This is, 10 years ago, I filed bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was the first time that I felt enough self-trust to be able to say, okay, I trust myself for you, people I care about, to invest in me. And I opened a capital raise. And I see a lot of people do that way before they should be self-trusting themselves.
Yeah.
But somehow they're overriding something enough, or they have like a false self-belief. And I just could never do that.
Yeah.
So you're speaking to a lot of my ridiculous questions that I'm having in my mind of like, first I want to like, I'm hearing that power it feels like it's generated in the first phase or stage around the capacity to generate money on demand in connection with your values. And then it seems like the self or the integrity piece is in the second, like the level of like, is it for my needs or is it for the needs of the community? Or like, because the person you're talking about, I'm seeing that there's a mismatch there, right? Of like whatever has happened, they're out of integrity with whatever level of development they're in. And so they're like generating for their own needs when really they should be generating beyond that.
Well, they should be generating. What that person should have done is they should have kept their own receiving at their need level. They went into want before everybody else's needs in the community were met. And so, and they're actually posting things on the internet that make it clear that like they're still buying things for their own want when everybody in their community's needs are not met. And that is a fail. That's a fail.
Yeah.
You got it. Before you start meeting your wants, in my opinion, and in order for us to create a new paradigm, a world that works for everyone, before we meet our own wants, let's create an ecosystem where everyone's needs are met. And then I can focus on my individual wants. And then guess what's going to happen is that I'm now going to be able to start to invite everybody else into meeting their wants too, right? Because that's how it goes. It's like me, we, because we have to take care of me first. So like you, Alan, are in a phase of like generate what you need when you need it on demand in alignment with your values. You are amazing at knowing what your values are. That took me a long time, by the way. Like that took me many years. You figured that out very early on. What's in alignment with your values? Great. Now, consistent generation, not for an ecosystem, for yourself.
Totally.
And we all need that as our baseline. And then steward that. And then you can move into okay, now I can generate for an ecosystem, for a we, which probably will end up being like a family.
Yeah.
You know, as your next stage.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just, real quick, I want to voice that like I have been out of integrity in many instances where I've generated things for my wants when that's out of integrity in certain ways.
Meaning like before you actually were in alignment with your values?
Yeah. Or were
stewarding well. Maybe you weren't stewarding well.
Maybe it's like I see it as I'm investing in myself in a specific way, but maybe I owe someone money. Right. And that could be seeing of me giving myself something that I want. Right. Because I do want it, but I'm out of integrity with basically the level of like generating, I'm at the stage of needs.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing that obviously we don't have time to explore right now, but I am going to be creating a show and we can explore that on my show.
Yeah, because my ridiculous question of like, I'm always in the quantum level of like, oh, isn't there simultaneous? Can I do all of it simultaneously or can I jump levels? I'm the type of person that kind of matures backwards. So just throw that out there. We can answer it later. And I feel like, obviously we're going to be on your show, and then I would love to have you back too.
It is. So I will also say that right, we're operating at so many different levels, and what we've been talking about today is how to use actual 3D tools, very practical tools to create magic. Right. So I have a whole tool set called Practical Magic. And so,
which I've done before. It's great.
yes,
Thank you.
yes, it's a good one. And so, and it is all happening at the same time. That is also true in the same way that non-duality is also true, right? Like we are all one, and yet we are all also experiencing through these individual bodies and through the people that we were born through and through the thing that we individually are inheriting. And so the framework that I have laid out here today is a framework for growing up, really, and actually taking yourself through a rite of passage and an initiation into reality creation. And so, yeah, you can fuck around all you want, and you're going to find out.
Yes.
And
as I've learned.
and the what I think from the 20 years that I've been doing this now is that the more we can just be clear about where we are and see where are we out of integrity, where do we have things to clean up, and then do that cleanup work, right? This is not a path of perfection. It's a journey. And like, actually, they say love the journey. So what does that mean? How do I love the journey? Oh, I just know where I am, have compassion for where I am, try things, fuck it up, make mistakes, learn that way, clean it up, and then like get back on the path.
Mm. And this is in direct alignment with all of the healing paradigms that I subscribe to. So it feels so in alignment and true for me.
Yeah, it really does. I think that's like the magic of this whole thing is it's taking a hard reality of how we have to navigate this world and taking the purpose of it. It's shifting the point of the game from accumulate and get as much as you can to grow as much as you can.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful. I know you got to go. I know we need to wrap up. What's the best way for people to find you and learn more about this? How can they work with you? What, where should we direct people?
The Ali Katz, ALIKATZ.com.
Okay.
And that's the portal.
Okay, great. And you've got a new show coming out too. It's going to be produced here in the next couple of weeks. We're recording in early April. We don't know when this is going to get released. So maybe you'll have some episodes out. It's called Get Lifted.
Get Lifted, baby.
Get Lifted.
And Get Lifted stands for?
So LIFT, Legal, Insurance, Financial, and Tax. And so this is really all about stepping into your adulthood and lifting your life with really understanding how legal, insurance, financial, and tax matters help you to take full personal responsibility and grow up and become what I call a grown-ass adult. And maybe by doing that, also be able to help the people in your life do that too, like your parents, perhaps, siblings. If you have kids, adult kids can help them too. But it all starts, with us. And so we're growing up.
Cool.
We're getting lifted.
Well, we're going to look for that. Yeah, look for the show. And thank you for sharing with us your wisdom.
Thank you. So fun.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. If you found this episode valuable, there are 2 easy ways to support the podcast. First, simply subscribe to this podcast or channel on whatever platform you're listening or watching on. And second, please share this episode with a loved one or a friend or someone who would be positively impacted by it. Thank you so much once again, and see you soon.